You worked with Vic Fuentes. It's a massive moment for anyone in this scene. How did that collaboration come together?
I think it all kind of started with how we became friends. I had just reached out to him years and years ago when I was first discovering his music. And this was at the time where I was starting to pursue music for the first time. I just asked him, was like, would you be down to get a coffee? And I played him my first record and he played me his most recent record. He sees like a younger version of himself in me. And I kind of see him as like the guy. I see him as the guy. I think he's like the coolest person. And so 5, 6 years later, be able to keep that friendship going and be able to make a song out of it was something really special and just kind of came naturally. I ended up just texting him, just like, hey, I have a studio session. And I was just asking if he would join in on the session. He was just like, I'd love to.
That's incredible. And you just sent him a message out of the blue type deal and it just kicked off from there.
Yeah. You miss all of the shots you take. You know?
You're listening to OurSpace with Matt Vettese.
Thanks for listening to another episode of OurSpace with Matt Vettese. I want to remind you that if you are watching this on YouTube, to subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, hit that follow button. It goes a long way in supporting the show. It's something that you could do for free really, really quickly right now, and leave a review if you shall as well. That makes a huge difference. Honestly, that makes my day. I read every single comment. I read every single review. So thank you so much for leaving them. Spotify Wrapped actually just came out today, the day that we are recording this episode, and looking at the numbers and how far this podcast has come and grown over the last couple of years since I started this thing. Like, my goodness, I just need to say, you make me so happy each and every single time you press play on this. This has been my dream, to talk to artists within the alternative music space on a podcast that is completely my own, that is not run by any sort of corporations, anything like that. This is a fully independent show. And yeah, I'm just so grateful to be here. I can't express that enough. So the fact that you are enjoying the show and engaging with it, that means the world to me. So please go ahead and do that if you shall. And today's chat is with Huddy. Yeah, you may know him. Had a huge, massive social media career, does have a huge, massive social media career. We don't really get too much into that, just a little bit we do, but we focus on the music component of his music career. So he just dropped a song with Vic of Pierce the Veil. We talk a lot about that. We talk a lot about collaborations. We talk a little bit about his new record that's going to be coming out at some point next year. We just have a great conversation, very human moments. I love this chat, and I'm really excited for you to hear it. So I'm going to shut up on my end of things and let's get into the chat with Huddy.
All right. We are with Huddy today. Huddy, thanks for joining the show.
What's up, everybody?
This is really cool timing that we got you, because by the time that this is coming out, you would have just released Burn the Ballroom Down. So I really want to talk about this single because you've kind of talked about the darker side of the music industry being the inspiration for this song. So I'm kind of curious what pushed you to write this song so openly.
Honestly, it was a feeling. Like, I could just kind of sense this energy from watching loads of documentaries and even like biopics, and just kind of seeing how stars have been treated over like the whole history of Hollywood. Like, I feel like it's been a thing since the early beginning that people have been, or the stars and the clients have been, whether they're an actress or a musician, have been treated very poorly. And it's resulted in the death of a lot of musicians and a lot of like tragedies just over the last, 100 years. Even like the last 3 years, I've seen like some just terrible cases of artists, whether they're killing themselves because stuff just becomes too much for them. But I just think it's kind of a time stamp to make a point of having better mental health access for artists in this day and age. I think is something that people should be talking about a lot more.
I absolutely agree with you. And I think that you actually bring up a good point, because this is something that's happened for so long. I mean, we can look back at some big artists in the 90s all the way up until, like you said, the last few years. It's not something that's really changed all that much. But I'm curious, is there something or some experience that maybe you've had that has gone into this song?
I think just from my career, I've had such ups and downs and really chaotic flows with my mental headspace of just the way that I've been treated or handled by the people that are, I guess, above me, whether they're a label partner, someone I've worked with as a business partner. I think like it's like we are artists because we're sensitive human beings, and so we should be like dealt with as such, because it can like our emotions can like kind of take over our body really quickly, and um really be like something where we do need therapy and kind of help through these things. And yeah, I've dealt with some stuff over the years, like not gonna, get into it too deeply, but I think it's just like making a point that like we deserve to be treated, as like anybody else, like I feel like you almost get stomped on a little bit in this industry. And it's like a tough thing to face, because on the outside, being an artist is like the dream, and it's the dream, and it's what we've wanted to do our whole lives. And then kind of getting into it, we're just like, we feel like stuck in a box and a little bit scared, and kind of just being like, well, yes, like I'll do whatever you say, but like at the same time, like also just work with me and hear me out, and we can exchange ideas and have so much more, meaningful conversation that way.
Yeah, there's definitely a sensitive and a vulnerable side to being an artist that can easily be exploited as well, because
Right.
like you mentioned, like people just want to be heard, they want to be seen, and all of that. So I can definitely see how that's taken a toll on a lot of people. But I'm curious if you ever worry about opening up about something like this and taking on something and calling out something like a major industry and being so open about that. Do you ever worry about any sort of backlash for how maybe the industry or the big machine would see you and perceive you in that sense of things, or any sort of backlash that comes with that?
I'm prepared to kind of face that backlash if it comes necessary. But I think if anyone kind of comes to the defense of it too, it's also kind of if like an if the shoe fits wear it kind of situation. So if you do think this is something that I'm saying is wrong, then I think you're a part of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that this is just the music industry, or do you think it's something bigger that's just happening in
Dude,
culture today?
this is every industry. Yeah, this is culture today. I think like people need to be treated fairly, whether like in whatever job space that they're in. Like there shouldn't be some sort of hierarchy within the job space. There shouldn't be a guy that has the right to bitch everybody around. I think everyone should be able to work together diligently to accomplish what you're trying to get. Whether it's just a business and you're an assistant or you're in the mailroom, you shouldn't be treated like trash. Like I think this goes just across every business in general. I like it's not just one. I think it's a collective thing, because I even like looked at it from the perspective of different like kind of business situations, and I'm just like it's a collective thing.
What do you think the best thing is that we can possibly do to call it out and fix it?
I think we just have to look after each other. That's it's plain and simple, and just come with good intentions and find some sort of way to really take care of each other, look after one another, and like that motto, that's treat others how you want to be treated. Like you can't just be able to shit on somebody and not be able to take that back, or like if you want kindness or you want respect, give it. Like it should be something that's earned and not just given.
I think that's well said. You worked with Vic Fuentes. It's a massive moment for anyone in this scene. How did that collaboration come together?
Well, I think it all kind of started with how we became friends. I had just reached out to him years and years ago when I was first discovering his music. And this was at the time where I was starting to pursue music for the first time. And I just asked him, was like, would you be down to get a coffee? And me and him went and got coffee, and we played each other. I played him my first record and he played me his most recent record. And we just had like a really understanding conversation with each other. And I feel like me and him he sees like a younger version of himself in me. And I kind of see him as like the guy. I think I see him as the guy. I think he's like the coolest person. And so to be his friend, but also to be someone that I can work with, is something really cool. But being able to 5, 6 years later, be able to keep that friendship going and be able to make a song out of it was something really special, and just kind of came naturally. I ended up just texting him, just like, hey, I have a studio session with the guys that I work with all the time, Eric, Ron, and West Period. And I was just asking if he would join in on the session. He was just like, I'd love to.
That's crazy. I didn't know that is how it started, in a sense of you became friends before this ever even happened.
Yeah.
So you've been friends for a few years then.
Yeah, since 2020.
That's incredible. And you just sent him a message out of the blue type deal, and it just kicked off from there.
Yeah. You miss all of the shots you take. You know?
There you go. Take those shots. I think that's a solid message to a lot of people out there. Just send that message, shoot those shots, and that's incredible. You've done a lot of collaborations throughout your career and throughout your music career as well. Is that typically the process you go about? Is just kind of like shooting a message and try to become friends with someone before doing that? Or do you have a sort of pitch to people coming to you? Like, what is your process with getting collaborations on your music?
Well, there's two ways to approach it. There's like, oh, that guy's like a really big artist, or I'm not really friends with him and I'm nervous to try and just shoot my shot and DM him like, hey, you want to be friends or you want to work together or something. Being able to have like a team to back me, and like, because a lot of these teams know each other. And so sometimes I'll have it be a team thing. But if I've like met a person before, if I meet him in real life, I'm just like, I'll give him a message like, hey, it was good to meet you. And just kind of see if a friendship emerges. And then eventually I'll just be like, hey, do you want to get in the studio? That's kind of how that collaboration with Palais Royale came about. We met each other when we were young the first year. And a month later, I ended up texting him like, hey, I have a song I think you'd be perfect for. Would you be down to come in the studio and check it out? And like, it happened that week. It was really quick how that one came about.
That's amazing. That's really cool to hear. Going back to the Vic collab, how did he change that song?
He brought an element of himself to it, but also he understood what I was trying to say. We mixed like the sounds, because I was giving references from my music, and then I was giving references like to the stuff I had for the album, and then I was giving references of like the deep Deftones riffs, and we found like a threshold. And in a way, I mean, Vic is Vic, so he kind of added his own taste of flavors to it as well, and it has like that little bit of Pierce Veil production style to it with the guitars. And so he made it like a mix of me, the reference, and him. And it just like, it came together perfectly.
Yeah, it works really, really well. And it kind of feels like you started moving into this direction with Vendetta and Fragile earlier this year. And now this one here, where was that sort of the start of a new era or the direction that you wanted to take your music in, or just kind of like, hey, this is what I'm feeling right now, so let's just do it?
So I had started the album with this song called The One, which was going to be the album title track, which we later renamed the album. We haven't told anyone what it is yet, but it started with The One, and The One was like my sound reference when I would go in the studio. And I had that song, and I had the collaboration with Palais Royale. And I used those songs as references for what I wanted to make with this song. And I came into the studio with this title in mind. And we just kind of went about it that way. Like we started making music like Vendetta when we started working with this new producer a few months later. Like 2-3 months later, we made Vendetta. And then that became what we wanted to expand on with the rest of the music. But in the beginning, it really started with this really pop rock sound with The One. I don't know if you've heard it. It's a little bit of a snippet that we've posted online, but it was a few years ago, and that's really where it all started.
And a lot has changed over the last few years, at least with the music that you've been releasing over the last few years. Do you ever look back and think about the growth from when you first started to now, and ever think like the older stuff that I put out, or like, I'm not the artist that I was 2 years ago, this is who I am now? Like, how do you sort of judge that growth?
I think that it came with a sense of maturity and a sense of letting go of what I cared to say or to not say in a song. I think I had to let that like sort of like pridefulness go to be able to make these songs. And I see that there was such an evolution in the process of making album 1 to album 2. And I think I just evolved as as an artist, but as a songwriter as well. I really dove into wanting to make more sophisticated lyrical songs. And I wanted it to be more guitar driven than drum driven, because in the first project, it's really drum heavy, and we've got Travis on everything. And I was like, let's dial it back and like not make it so much about the drums, but more about like that guitar sonic and just bringing new elements into the picture. And so I think that's what really defines it. And I also found this like tone that my voice sits perfect in. Like I found my pocket that like you can define as a Huddy song now.
Would you say that you didn't necessarily have that before?
No, I just, I was fresh into the music scene, so I hadn't completely figured it out yet. But I think after really taking time to get to know myself and how I made a song was when I really unlocked a whole new layer of just music for me. I had it figured out to what I knew in the first year of making music, but then it took me 4 years to make this album. So I really had time to carefully get to know myself.
Now, can I ask you this, and in a sense of, your music career, before your music career, you already had built a platform and a following and all of that. So at what point did you say, you know what, I also want to do the music thing as well, and I think I can be really successful doing it?
I realized that before I had even started on social media. I just didn't have the resources to get to that point. And so I knew once I started doing social media that if I could make it in this space, I could be able to do the things that I wanted to do. Like, I think with a platform, you are able to get to where you want to be in life. And I think that's a new thing that a lot of people are starting to figure out now. But I had figured out 10 years ago when I first opened up social media and was like, there's like something to it that you could brand yourself however you want. And I could see that happening in real time and evolving. But what I told as soon as I came out to LA, I got my first manager. She said, what else do you want to do other than post on social media? I was like, I want to be a musician. How can we make that happen? I'm like, I don't know any producers. I don't know anything about this space. And she's like, I could help you. And so it just took me some time to really figure out the blocks that I needed to kind of figure out how to build all of this. And once I had, started to make music, it just kind of came to me like, you need to figure all of this out in order to fully understand it, because it was such a different world that I thought was just like impossible to get into. I had no idea how to make music. This is like before the days before I knew what an Ableton was,
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? It is a very smart strategy, and you were very much ahead of the curve on that side of things as well. Because I mean, to be a musician, you need to build a platform, and you're doing it from scratch. You found a way to do it and turn what you had into the career that you wanted. And I think that's admirable. And I mean, what a year for you as well. You recently played Work Tour in Orlando. Did you ever get a chance to go to Work Tour before they stopped doing it?
Well, the last time they had done it, I think I was in middle school, and that was before I was allowed to go to concerts. And my family were selfishly only going to country concerts. And I was in a place where I was like, man, let's try something else. Like, let's go to all of these places. But when I was in 6th grade, that was when they took me to my first concert, and I loved it. I fell in love with the feeling of being at a show. And
what was your first concert, by the way?
Blake Shelton.
Okay. You did mention country.
My first 20 concerts, my parents paid for the tickets. I had no idea how to even buy a ticket. I was too young to figure out any of this stuff.
My first concert was the Backstreet Boys, so I get it. I didn't have a choice in it.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you're too young, it's like you're just gonna fall into whatever your parents decide. And But it made me realize when I have kids, I'm taking them everywhere. I'm taking them to every genre show. You know, we're going to go from a jazz place to a rock place to a metal show to a pop show. I want them to see it all and figure out what they like, you know, for themselves. I want them to be tastemakers of their own. And I really wish, you know, like I was there for that era to see what Warped Tour was like back in the day, but I was just too young.
What was the first concert that you went to that was your choice?
Oh God, it was, it was Rolling Loud.
Okay, that's not a terrible answer.
It was a rap festival, and it was in San Francisco in 2019. It was a blast. I had so much fun. I was in mosh pits. I was tearing it up. I had a great time. But it was fun.
From those points there, being on like seeing those first concerts, did that have a little part of you saying, yeah, this is what I want to do with my life? Like, I want to be up there on that stage?
Funny enough, the moment that was just like what really set me in stone, that just like changed my whole perspective on the music business, was when my sister, she woke me up in the middle of the night and she was like, we're going to see the One Direction movie right now and you're coming with me. I'm dragging you. And I went and I saw that movie and it changed my life, because I wasn't a One Direction fan before, but my sister kind of made me understand by watching that movie. I was like, I get it. I understand what fame is. I understand all this stuff, but it still felt so like far out there. But I was like, I looked at them and I was like, this is what I want. This is what I want with my life. It really did change my life in so many ways.
It's crazy to hear that, you know, Blake Shelton in One Direction, and then, you know, even music within the alternative space as well. Like, all of these things have the same impact on everyone. It doesn't matter who you are or what type of music you listen to. Like, it's the music that has that big impact, which I love to hear. And I always like hearing where people's influences start coming in from, what they're listening to at an early age as well. Like I said, Backstreet Boys for me, I mean, when I was like 11, 12 years old, it was Avril Lavigne. And then somehow I took a turn into Metallica, and then it was just like game over on all the heavier stuff.
I love it. I know. Like, I've been kind of recently going down the rabbit hole of heavier music, and I'm like, I like this a lot. And so it's like, it was just one of those things. I'd never really gotten to experience it when I was younger. So now that I'm older, I'm like, where has this been my whole life?
So what was it like playing Warped Tour? You know, such an iconic festival. I mean, really has been the staple for alternative music for years and years and years before they took a pause. Now they're finally back and you're on that stage. What was that like?
It was really cool. I actually felt super comfortable up there, which I wasn't expecting for myself. I think the first Warped Tour that I did in Long Beach, I was a little bit more nervous. I was like, I hope they like me. And I had so much fun. But I was a little bit nervous even on stage for that first one. But once I had done that, going to Warped Tour Orlando, I felt a little bit more at ease. And I had done a festival the week before in Nashville for Ceremony Fest. And that really felt like a great warm up back into just concert culture. And I was ready to take it on. And I had so much fun. The fans were great. They had like Orlando Loves Huddy posters and stuff. It was so cute. And the crowd was super in it. And I had a great time. I played some unreleased music. I got to, you know, play some of the new stuff, some of the old stuff. I really just got it all in one experience.
Because it's such an iconic stage within this space and within this scene, did it feel like a bit of validation on that end of things in terms of seeing those people show up throughout that crowd while there's so many other big bands within the scene and fans of all that music there as a newer artist yourself?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you're mentally challenging yourself by saying like, God, I hope people show up. You know, you kind of psych yourself out a little bit, but then like those fans are there for you, and being able to like see all those people just in real life in person and just being able to soak up all of the energy that they give you is something just so special. Like, you never really know what it's going to be, or what the turnout's going to be like, but for the people to show up for a sunset slot, like at Warped Tour, was really special for me, man.
I love to hear that. And I know earlier you mentioned that you're working on your sophomore record. What can you share about this record as of right now? You mentioned we're not sharing the title. Can we share a general time frame of it being released or any other information? Maybe more collaborations you've got on it?
I'll say this. I think we're still considering a few collaborations for the project. We're just kind of in that moment where we're like, you know what? We have a little bit of time, so let's kind of reevaluate how we're looking at the project and see if there is a world where we can add somebody else into it. But I really have been just focused on with this project of getting out an understanding of me, a message that's just completely me. This record is just kind of all about my life and the things that I've gone through to get to where I am today. With that in mind, we also took it upon ourselves to make sure that the visuals and the music videos also give off this me related vibe. Like everything that we did for these music videos is like so much my colors, my outfit choices, a lot of it. Like I wanted to put my brain in there with all of these music videos and just make them unapologetically who I am, because then I love it. And it doesn't matter if the people catch on now or later or in 5 years, but like I can say that I'm proud of this project and for everything that we gave to it to give it some life.
So obviously you want it to be way more you. This is kind of like an existential question, but how do you figure out who you are for that project to put so much of you into it?
I mean, it takes some deep self-searching and being like, okay, am I comfortable with talking about this and writing about that? So there was a lot of like that kind of deep dive within myself. But then with that came like me really finding myself and finding like what I like stylistically and what I like visually for all these music videos. And I feel like it's just, I don't know, man. It's unapologetically me. I mean, we're pulling from like references, like even in Vendetta, like the music video, it's very medieval. And that's one of the things that I really grew up in, was I grew up going to Ren fairs with my dad and my whole family, and we would dress up all the time. And so I kind of placed that sort of like Scottish Ren fair culture into these music videos. And I wanted it to feel old, but new and fresh. And with every song that we made, man, we went into the studio and I was just like, how can I make this my music taste, but also me and the things that I want to say? And like, I was very like specific and careful about, just making sure that I didn't leave anything on the table for this project so people could really get this deeper understanding. Cause I feel like sometimes I kind of shelter myself from the world a little bit and like letting them find out who I am and get to know me. So with this project, I was like, this is going to be my voice.
I think it's really cool to hear that medieval side of things, because I guess if you didn't really necessarily know you in that sense of things, like you wouldn't know that Ren Fair story. So you see the medieval side of it and you may not necessarily connect the dots unless you kind of know Chase, you know Huddy, right? But now with you saying that, it's kind of cool because I feel like people can go and look at past music videos or these new music videos that you have for this upcoming record and know that there actually is a little bit of meaning or a whole lot of meaning in these videos, even on the little things that that fans may not necessarily pick up in the beginning.
Yeah, man. And like, I mean, the other thing too is just, I love being a storyteller, whether it's through music or through a music video or both. I love to tell a story. And I mean, I love movies and I love, just like giving people something to like watch and really break down and think about, you know, the Taylor Swift of it all.
Was there a story or is there a story that you've wrote that was particularly difficult that you really had to pull from or kind of get over the fact that people were going to hear it and possibly judge it or think a certain way? Like, did you get extra vulnerable with one song on one story?
Yeah, man. All the things I hate about you. That was a really tough song to write because every word had to be carefully placed and what we were trying to tell with the story. Everything had to be truthful. Everything had to be, but also honest as well. Like, you know, like, truthful and honest, same thing. But I just had to be very upfront with what it was. But it's so weird songwriting and being able to like really spell things out for each other. It's like, this has to be 100%. Like everything has to be both true, but also cool, because you have to make the song cool. And, and so it was like it was a tricky ass song to write. And I was so worried about what people were going to say about this song. I was like, oh, this is either the death of me or the rebirth. And I'm not sure which one yet.
What's your favorite song that you've released so far?
It's kind of a tie between Fragile and How It Ends.
It's not Burn the Ballroom Down.
I mean, Burn the Ballroom Down. Like, I will say, okay, it's not released like actually yet, but like once this is out, it will be released. That is my favorite song I've written, I think, of all time, for sure.
I like that answer. Yeah, I guess it's kind of tricky because the song comes out in a couple of days as of recording this, but this will be out by that time. So
well, yeah. I mean, if we're talking like my favorite songs that I've released in the past, but today, you know, I mean, Burn the Ballroom Down
today, the day that the listener or viewer is actually hearing it or seeing it, then Burn the Ballroom Down.
Everyday Four, Burn the Ballroom Down.
What makes this song particularly your favorite?
Everything, man. The production, the storytelling, just being able to say some like really cool shit, but also to be able to tell a story through the eyes of like a Victorian child, which is like the craziest thing about the song. Is this song's supposed to be unapologetically medieval, but also telling a real story in today's like society at the same time. And so for me to explain this to them, at first they're like, Chase, what? But then once we got it, we're like, but yes, it just makes so much sense.
Once it's actually fully formed, right? It's like when you're doing a painting, halfway through the painting, it looks ridiculous. You finish the painting, you're like, oh, I see the vision now.
Absolutely. And it just got better, man. Like we didn't go back in and like rework nothing, man. What we wrote for every lyric on the song is what it's been this whole time. And it's just so special. I remember we were having conversations. They're like, what, would you be interested in retracking the song? I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. I was a tryhard in that studio because I wanted to look cool for Vic Fuentes. Like, that's the dog. I need him to think I'm a badass. And so I went in and I gave my best vocal performance, my best writing performance. I'm like, there's nothing we can change. It doesn't get better than that.
I love that so much. And I totally feel you on that. Like, you would absolutely have to, right? I'm really excited for people to hear this track, which it is out now if you're watching or listening. And let me know in the comments. Let us both know in the comments what you think of the track. I do want to wrap things up here, though, before we do. One question I ask on the show, because the whole spirit of the show is about discovering music and new music within the alternative space. And so this is the point of the show where we give some shout outs and we send some love to some up and coming artists or some underrated artists that you're listening to right now that you think more people need to check out.
Recently, I've been listening to a lot of Sachi 6. Their music's undeniably good. I really love Sleep Theory. 2 years in a row, they've had my most listened to song. Spotify Rap came out today, as of right now.
I was going to say, now that you said that, what is that you're most listened to on Spotify Wrapped for this year?
It was Static by Sleep Theory. And I know it's been number one on rock radio for a while, but it's damn good. And last year it was Fallout by Sleep Theory, which is when I discovered them. And I actually went to see them in Milan. I watched them perform. They're amazing. And I got to meet them, become friends with Colin. And so I think keep an eye out for them. Obviously, the Paradox Band, I've been listening to them a lot recently, and I think they're going to be the next thing in the pop punk space. If not, they already are. Like they're crushing it right now. Who's one other person? Also, keep an eye out for Bailey Spin, man. She's on the come up.
I just had her on the show as we're recording this. It literally, my episode came out today with her. So,
oh, wow. Awesome. What are the odds?
some amazing recommendations there. It was Sache 6. I actually had never heard of until I went to Warped Tour in DC, and I was just kind of walking by during their set, and I stopped and went, who the hell is this? They're good. They're so good.
It's incredible.
A lot of really cool recommendations there. Thank you so much for those. Once again, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, give it a like, and let me know in the comments what you think about Burn the Ballroom Down. Go and stream that track. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can still leave a comment on Spotify, by the way. So still let me know and then go and stream the track. Huddy, thanks again so much for doing this. I'm so happy we got to chat.
Hey, no problem, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to OurSpace with Matt Vettese. If you enjoyed yourself, please support the show by subscribing and leaving a review.